Okay, this is the type of binding that I'm going to teach you how to do. It's has a nice braided spine to it that shows off the edges of the papers really nicely. This is great for handmade paper or heavier watercolor paper. Something that has deckled edges really it shows off nicely with this type of binding. And then the pages all have this nice stitched, kind of a blanket stitch look to them that is really nice as well. And then I also created a edge along the spine here that I will show you how to do. It's really easy, just twisting the yarn around itself. And then the ends of the yarn, rather than trying to figure out how to tie off the ends and then hide the loose ends, I actually turned them into a braid that I will be probably hanging, putting some beads on, and use it for hanging some charms, and then it can be used as a little bookmark. All right, so to start, the first thing that we're going to do is punch the holes. Actually, before we punch the holes, we need to make our template to punch the holes. And to do that, you're just going to use a piece of, you want to use heavy paper, not just regular copy paper. The reason you want to use heavy paper, and you can actually use like a postcard depending on the size of your book pages. You can use like a postcard or mailer or something that's got heavier paper as well. The reason you want to use heavier paper is when you get to the step of punching your holes, the hole punch will actually be able to kind of connect into the hole. It'll sort of grab the hole, and you'll be able to get those holes punched much more easily and line up with your hole, with your guide holes a lot more easily if you're using a heavier paper. And the reason we're doing a template rather than just measuring and marking is it saves a lot of time. You don't have to mark on your actual papers, and just kind of speeds up the whole process. So once you have your paper marked, you're just going to cut it out. And then once your paper is cut out, then you're just going to mark for your holes. So what I did is I made the holes about a ½ inch away from the edge of the paper. So I'm marking, just drawing a line here, a ½ inch in from the edge of the paper. And I'm spacing my holes 1 inch apart, and I want to have an equal spacing to start with. And so since this is 7½ inches, I'm going to have about a ¼ inch, or 3/4 of an inch rather, from the edge of the paper to the first hole, and then 1 inch increments from there. So just mark those spots and then punch. Now the hole punch I'm using is a smaller diameter punch, but you can use a regular hole punch just as easily. So if you're experimenting with bookmaking, you don't need to go out and buy any special hole punch. You can just use the hole punch that everybody probably already has a hole punch laying around at home, and you can use that. So once you have your guide made, then you're just going to go to punching all the holes in your paper. So I found that for me, for the paper I'm using, it's kind of a heavier sort of watercolor paper. I'm not sure of the actual weight of it. 3 sheets was about the maximum that I could punch together at one time. So what you want to do is get your sheets together, decide what edge do you have. So I went through all my papers and I picked the best decals to be to the outside because I really wanted to showcase the decals. And then this is more of a torn edge, so it's, not quite as decorative looking. So I'm going to have that facing to the spine. Just get your papers lined up with your template, and then use a couple of binder clips to hold your paper in place. And then you just get to punching.